Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to this session of yet another OL Assembly, the March edition. Now, this edition, I'm sure you would have seen the promos, and the edition is going to be titled Prides of March. Now, why Prides of March? This is in line with the recently celebrated International Women's Day. And so, we at the OL Assembly thought, let's pay a tribute to people who play very important parts in our lives, women. They say women play many roles in life, right? They play the role of a loving wife, a doting daughter, a caring mother, and at the same time, very responsible and very career oriented. And we thought, what best than to play a tribute in this World Forum? So, looking forward to a blockbuster evening of an all women special at the OL Assembly. Sit back and enjoy this. My name is Vinod. I'm from the batch of 96, Aravalli, and here are my co hosts. Good evening, Karishma. Good evening, Elizabeth.
Good
Over
evening.
to you.
Hi, Vinod. Thank you so much. That's right, guys. We're super excited to bring you today's, variety entertainment. I'm Karishma Sushil Kumar from batch of 2005. Really excited to introduce our guest co-host. We're trying this new thing where we get people on to get them involved, and Elizabeth here is being an utter champ. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Hi. So very excited to be here. My name's Elizabeth Verghese. I'm class of 2013, Sumeru House.
That's right. Don't forget, guys, she was also prefect during the time. So we're really cashing in on her ability to speak to a crowd. So here we go. We're really excited. What we're going to do is, as always, we'll begin with a few words from the OLA committee, the group that's really bringing this all together. The folks who bring together endeavors of that are related to alum and all of us around the world. So a very good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to everyone tuning in. Here's Elizabeth, another Elizabeth, also known as Bina Beliapa, who's going to join us. She is the vice president of the OLA committee. Over to you, Bina Auntie, to share a few words with us.
Hi, everyone. It's with immense pride as a woman of the OLA committee that I'm here with you this evening. As Vinod mentioned, we on the OL Assembly team look for a catchy theme each month for our assembly. The month of March has two prominent days. 8th of March, the International Women's Day, and the never forgotten Ides of March, which is on the 15th. So the Prides of March is a newly coined term to suit both occasions. It is a well-known fact that the girls of Lovedale do very well after they leave school. In fact, whether it is a homemaker, a professional, or whatever, as we have weathered very many situations at school itself, which has made us all very strong. So now that we have come to that, we have decided to honor all women who have left, who have gone through the portals of Lovedale, especially the women teachers, both past and present, along with the thoughts and opinions of girls across batches in their life at school. In boarding school, in particular, the bond between teachers and students is exceptionally strong, as all our teachers leave deep impressions on us, and we at the girls' school have our house mistresses who undoubtedly, over the years, nurtured and molded us to who we are all presently. A big thank you to all our teachers for what you have done for each of us through the years. On behalf of the OL Assembly team, a very big thank you to all participants too. Enjoy yourselves and let me hand you back to our charming host Karishma, and our guest host, my namesake Elizabeth. And they will sit back, enjoy yourself, and they will take you through the rest of the program.
Thank you so much, Meena Auntie, for those wonderful words. So, folks, what we'll do next is, for those of you who follow the assembly, always, we'll bring on the Honorable Headmaster of the Lawrence School, Lovedale. Mr. Prabhakaran is here once again this evening to join us, as always, to give us a few tidbits on what's going on at school and, just keeping us in loop, as always. Mr. Prabhakaran, good evening. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Thank you. Am I audible?
You're very audible. Thank you so much.
First of all, before giving some feedback about the school, I would like to make a small statement where Vice President Bina Veliappa mentioned it. The girls of Lawrence do well when they leave after the school. It's not a correct statement at the moment. They do very well when they're here also. When I say that, last years, national champions in athletics were our girls' team.
Wow.
National level NCC Prime Minister's Award Shangini Singh is from our school. Similarly, hockey, our girls are doing very well. It's a monopoly of Lawrence girls.
Woo!
And basketball, there's nobody can beat basketball. Last year, basketball team here. So it's not stories have gone. In fact, there is no difference between boys and girls as such.
Oh, that
However,
is so fantastic. Thanks
on
for
an
sharing
occasion,
that.
the difference is only the geographical difference. Other side of the
Mm,
church is the girls' school, and this side of the church
mm,
is senior school.
mm.
Otherwise, it's more or less the same. Academically, they're doing very well. And the placements, last year's placements, girls have done well along with boys, and this year's placement is just started. So it's
Mhm.
an institution where we do not feel any gender bias. It's the students, and of course, when I say this on the Women's Day celebration with that, I take this opportunity to thank all those girls whom I know here. Whatever little time I've spent with them, their contribution has been great and amazing. And I also take this opportunity to thank and appreciate the great work done by so many ex-teachers, ex-lady teachers, headmisters, Mrs. Sangeeta, Cheema. We have taken from them what they have left and taking it to the next level. And in today's world, as you know, we are all same. In fact, girls have got better accessibility and their academic performance have been comparatively better. At the same time, boys have been equally competing with them. So it's an institution which nurture boys and girls without any gender bias, and we should continue to do that. And I would like to mention one more thing: the number of girl students enrolling for admissions has gone up. It used to be 25-30%, now it is 40-42, and I hope another a couple of years down the line at least it will be 50-50. That will be a very good healthy mix, 50% boys and 50% girls. We are looking forward to reach that point. Coming back to school's feedback, school is reopened from January end. From 9th standard to 12th standard, we reopened it in a staggered way. 10th and 12th students were appearing for board examination. The board exams are scheduled in May and June. So 90% of those students are back. 9th and 11th, quite a few of them are still at home because we are following the blended learning system, offline and online. The students who are here will be there attending the class. Students who cannot come, staying at home, have online classes because this is a government protocol that there is no compulsion for students to come and join in in this COVID situation. So the opportunity, the choice is given to them. Next week is one more window. We are expecting about 200 students will be joining from 9, 10, and 11. So that will make about almost 40 to 50% of the strength of the school. And remaining from 5th standard to 8th standard, there is no clarity. As and when the government takes a decision, we'll be considering that. The exams are going, preparation for board exams are going on, and the promotion exams are also going for junior classes, online and offline. School is fortunately this part of the country, Lovedale, is peaceful. The COVID cases are comparatively very minimal, and we have got a completely protected semi bio bubble situation. There is no visitors and there is no outing. it's completely a protected environment. I would like to say sorry to a lot of old Laurentians who rang me up, who tried to come and visit. Very politely, I said situation is different. Once we get out of this sensitive situation, it will be open to all of you. Most probably, this will happen by end of May. By end of May, beginning of June, I hope things will open up. Thank you, the team of OIL Assembly, the March edition. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak to all of you. All the best for your rest of the program. Once
Thank you
again,
so much.
thank you, and I appreciate the initiative taken by you and all those lady teachers, women, students, girls who have contributed, who have moved out of the school, who are a great source of inspiration. I appreciate their contribution. And I give a salute to their contribution.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, as always, for being here and for also walking us through what's going on at school, as always, but also for the words that you talked about, giving us those highlights and really, putting up the girls and showing solidarity there. Thank you so much once again. I just want to say that I remember when I was back home, I would feel school sick. So I can just imagine the kiddos who have not yet come back to school. Surely they're feeling school sick as well. So I'm sure they're waiting to come back, just as you're waiting to see them all. Thanks once again, and have a wonderful evening. And stay with us for the show this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to kickstart today's variety entertainment with a musical number. This one's a bit of a medley, showcasing the talents of Sarah John from the batch of 99. Now, what I wanted to share with you, a fun fact, is that she's a full-time musician, also an entrepreneur, and runs a music e-learning platform called Music Pundit. This is a bit of a medley here, gorgeous vocals. Please enjoy.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. This is my fight song, take back my life song, prove I'm alright song. My power's turned on, starting right now. I'll be strong, I'll play my fight song, and I don't really care if nobody else believes, 'cause I've still got a lot of fight left in me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. We'll fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, yeah, that's what we become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. Pretty, please don't you ever feel like you're less than perfect. Pretty, please, if you ever feel like you're nothing, you are perfect to me. Like a small boat on the ocean, sending big waves into motion. Like how a single word can make a heart open. I might only have one mouth, but I can make an explosion. And all the things I didn't say, wrecking balls inside my brain, I will scream them loud tonight. Can you hear my voice this time? This is me. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna set a flood, gonna drown him out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching at the beat of drum. I'm so scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown him out. This is brave, this is proof, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me.
Wow, thank you so much for these powerful songs that are clearly apt for our theme for this assembly. Thank you so much, Sarah and team.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah, for putting that together for us. Right. So, I think that is very nice to listen to them, sing such a powerful song on such a nice occasion. Right. So, thanks so much for that. Moving on. So next up is a segment where we are going to be featuring a tribute to one of our teachers, one of our old teachers for that matter, right? We're going to be featuring C.K. Sabapathi, right? And C.K. Miss Sabapathi was the first prep school headmistress from the batch of she taught in school from 1950 to 1957, and she was a headmistress from 1950 to 57, and her son Paul Sabapathi, whom you might have seen in earlier all episodes, also studied in school, right? The tribute is going to be paid by Krish Krishnan from the batch of 61, Anil Madan from the batch of 63, and Joseph Thomas from the batch of 57. So let's cut straight into the tribute that they paid.
Perhaps the first thing I should say about Mrs. Sabapathi is that she looked like a headmistress, striding about the prep school grounds with her sari on, a pair of shoes and socks, and acting very much like she was in charge and the general. I think she loved that appearance. Now, of course, to 7 and 8-year-old kids, she probably looked bigger than she was, but there it was. Mrs. Sabapathi had a great love of teaching and was able to communicate that love to us kids. When she taught us math, she would cajole you into coming to the right answer, never criticizing, never complaining. And once you got the right answer, there would be this big smile that came on her face, as if you had succeeded, but as if she had succeeded. And it's an amazing gift to have as a teacher that you can impart this feeling of joy about learning.
My classmate Paul's mother, Mrs. Sabapathi, taught us mathematics in class 8. Among the many things she taught us, I have the most vivid memories of simultaneous equations and parallel lines. When it came to parallel lines, one day she asked us to take our foot rulers, and we all went down to the railway line near Beligauda Bridge. And there we measured the distance between the rail lines at various points. And we found them to be all equal at 1 meter. So this brought out the basic quality and definition of parallel lines, which is that they are equidistant throughout their length. So even today, more than 60 years later, whenever I deal with parallel lines, I think of the class that Mrs. Sabapathi took down to Belligoda Bridge.
Mrs. Sabapathi was a person who encouraged development in her students. There was a very small library in the prep school which had a lot of books, and I would often go and sit there and read books. They had very low tables, so you would basically be sitting on the floor, and I was constantly reading. She would often poke her head into the door and look at me and say, "Oh, you're reading. Good." Mrs. Sabapathi was excited about the kids and the school. She was tremendously excited when every year we would have at Christmas time. Actually, it was in October because school ended by December, so our Christmas was done sometime in October, probably around the Diwali time celebrations. In any event, there was a sleigh that would come up. I think it was pulled by a cow or something, and it would come up the hill to the prep school and have a Santa Claus in it. I think that might have been Dr. Johnson, the school dentist, and he was, of course, making all kinds of noises. The sleigh was full of gifts that were wrapped for all of the kids in the prep school, and she and Miss Maitali would be giggling and laughing and having a great time seeing the kids celebrating this event of this fake Santa Claus coming up the hill. In any event, it was a great time, and it still sticks in my memory.
Hi, this is Krishnan. I graduated from Lovedale in 1961, Vindhya House, and I had met Mrs. Sabapathi at Chennai in 1956, and I was amazed how kind and nice she was. Yeah, also, I had been to Lovedale then. I was just a young kid, 4 feet 5 inches or 6 inches. And she was so tall, I had to just literally look up to her. And she made such a great impression with her kindness and smile. And when I went to Lovedale, my relative took me over to prep school to meet her. And believe it or not, it was an amazing experience. I almost felt I have somebody in Lovedale, somebody who I had met in Chennai. And I felt good, and I know that my relative was going to leave. At least I had a feeling that there was someone who was going to look after me. So it was a great experience, I tell you.
There's another anecdote to relate about Miss Sabapathi. At one point, 2 of our classmates had been involved in some severe naughtiness by Mrs. Sabapathi's standards. So she decided to make an example out of them. And she assembled all the boys and had these 2 guys pull down their pants and bend over. Well, this was shortly after the school had had an outbreak of chickenpox. And both of them had chickenpox, as did I. One of them, of course, had severe bruising from the chickenpox, and the people at the hospital had put some kind of a violet-colored preparation on him. It might have been gentian violet. In any event, he had these purple blotches all over his butt. So finally, she said, "Oh, pull up your pants." And she turned around to the other fellow and gave him a whack and said, "Here's an extra one for you." Another incident involving Mrs. Sabapathi also centers around the Christmas story. At the prep school, every year we would do the Christmas play with a scene in the manger and so forth. And one of the kids was holding a rooster or a chicken. And as things went along, the rooster let loose its bowels right onto this kid. And he, of course, was outraged. But Mrs. Sabapathi, who was on the stage while we were trying to sing whatever chorus we were singing, some Christmas carol, I think, started laughing her head off, and she simply couldn't stop. Anyway, the play came to an abrupt halt. We disbanded and then came back the following day and went through on a much more serious
To
note.
remember them always and thank their children, whom I know. And I'd like to convey this to them. And it was great knowing them.
Wow, I think that was just amazing, and I like how much of an impact she has had on the lives of all the children. Sounds like a very enterprising woman, and it was really nice to hear this heartfelt tribute to her. So, coming up next, we have something quite interesting and fun. We've got part one of a three-part compilation that will be aired in the course of this assembly. And so what this is OL girls from generations talking about their memories and their experiences and their lives in school. So we sent across a few questions and these are their answers. So the first part is them answering who their favorite female teacher from school was.
A teacher who made a lasting impression on me. There are so many teachers in Lawrence who've had an impact on my life. I just want to say a huge thank you for all that you've taught me, for always teaching me to believe in myself, to always stand up for what I believe in, and to never give in. Thank you so much.
Both Magiri and Maheni.
The teacher I bonded with from the moment I saw her face was Maheni. She was so warm and so welcoming, and she'll always have a very special place in my heart.
Was Miss Shaw. She was an extremely lovely person, very understanding of all the students, and she was an inspiration to many of them.
Two people come to mind, but I think I would say Mrs. Balakrishnan. Definitely Mrs. Balakrishnan.
Probably Ma Balakrishnan. She became my house mistress in the last couple of years that I was in Lovedale. She was a very kind, loving, homey kind of person, and I enjoyed her.
I didn't really have a favorite at that time. I think I thought Mabalu was very kind. I thought Balls was very strange and interesting and introduced us in retrospect to a lot of literature, which was good. Magiri was her knowledge of grammar stood out and definitely got me more interested in grammar. But today, when I look back, I think that one of the teachers who really has taken her life to a different level and who I really respect is my dance teacher, Mrs. Nirmala Venu. She was Miss Nirmala Panikya, but she's someone I really respect on what she has done in the field of dance today.
Has to be Kabul ma'am, my hockey coach. She was there from my 4th standard till my 12th and really taught us how to be strong, independent women. The fierceness she showed us on the field and off is something that would stay with me forever.
She came in like a tiny fireball and changed our lives forever. She showed us, like, while the rest of our days was filled with no's and, you can't do this, you can't do that, that on the hockey field, we were fierce women who were, given the opportunity to do what we wanted with the main goal of winning, with her motto of do or die, no matter what. And that would have to be Kamal ma'am. She was the best thing that happened to our lives.
Without question, that was Mrs. Enos. She taught me to speak the way that I do today. And I'm one of thousands of students who were her legacy.
Definitely Mrs. Gupta. She was our last house mistress and a great geography teacher.
I would have to say it was Maheni or Mr. McMahon, one of the two.
In prep school, it definitely was Mrs. Enos. And when we came on to the senior school, girls' school, the house mistress, played the key role in your life. So Mrs. Gupta, definitely.
Balu and Sharda were the Laurel and Hardy of school, but I think my dance teacher, Nirmala Venu, she really influenced me the most.
Would be Miss Virk.
There were so many lady teachers that we could look up to in school. I think the one that I recall the most is Sangeeta Cheema ma'am. She came in just when we were starting at 12th, and I think she was one of the warmest people I've ever met. She had her home open to all of us at all times. She had a beautiful Saint Bernard. She had this waffle maker, I remember. She used to let us make waffles in our house as a stress buster. She's caught us dancing and even danced with us. And of course, I'll never forget Chandra Joshi ma'am. Her laughter could echo from near Clock Tower till Top Flats. We'll never forget her. She was an amazing teacher. She taught us physics. And obviously SG ma'am. She was a chemistry teacher. She was also with us in girls' school for about 3 years, if I'm not wrong. And we've had some really good laughs with her in dorms and everything. And I also want to mention our arts teacher. She was quite coy, shy on her own, but she taught us a lot of things. And art class is always fun because of her. Her name is Mrs. Tamil. And Beena ma'am. Beena Varghese ma'am was our PT instructor. She was our sports teacher, and as strict as she was, I think a great part of her fitness regime and everything was made by her. So I think these are a few lady teachers that I want to recall on this day.
Mrs. Gupta, Mrs. Cheema. She was the headmistress, and I think that was the most amazing year we had in school.
Nargis Gupta would have been very happy to see me for what I am today. She every year would annually report, Rema is shy, she needs to get out of her shell. The words by Atticus come to mind. I'm powerful today not because I wasn't scared, but because I went on so strongly despite the fear.
You know, one of my favorite things about these testimonials is from some of the earlier years and eras, how teachers are referred to as Ma with the prefix Ma, and it's so intimate and so lovely. We certainly didn't have it in the 90s and noughties. I kind of love that part about the testimonials. What we have next for you guys is a recitation by a group of OL girls ranging from the batches of the 60s all the way to the 10s. This has been put together, this compilation, by Semanti Sinha Ray from the batch of 77. I know her as Sem Auntie. And this is a recitation of the poem Still I Rise by the venerated and very important figure in American civil rights, Maya Angelou. Here's the recitation. I hope you all enjoy this.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise.
Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room.
Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise.
Do you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries?
Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard.
You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise.
Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs?
Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise.
Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise.
I'm a black ocean leaping in wide,
Welling and swelling, I bear in the tide.
Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak miraculously clear. I rise.
bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave.
I am the hope and the dream of the slave. I rise. I rise. I rise.
Wow, I mean, this was such an important poem, and I think what I really like is that you can hear the emotion as each woman is reciting this poem, and it was so strong and so deep, and I think that was just lovely. So thank you to everybody who participated and lent their voices. So coming up next, we have a message from a very important person. We have a message from the first headmistress of our school, Sangeeta Cheema. And little fun fact here, her first year in school was also my 12th. So I got to witness firsthand this monumental moment of our first headmistress walking into school. So, Sangeeta Cheema.
Absolutely, and I think it's such a nice moment, right, when you're in class 12 and when the first headmistress walks in. Such a nice thing. So waiting to hear that. And following Ms. Sangeeta Cheema's message, we will have a tribute that's paid by Joseph Thomas from the batch of 57. There's an interesting trivia here that in 2017 when Joseph Thomas batch was celebrating their 60th year reunion, the then President of India was the chief guest, and Ms. Cheema made arrangements to get the batch to meet the president. So that was, I think, a very Kodak moment for that batch. So waiting to hear these two things. So
Hello, Laurentians. It has been a very long time, and I'm so happy to connect with Lovedale through all of you. And what better time to say hello when so much has changed? We are in the midst of a gripping medical emergency, a rapid migration to digital technologies with no choice in the matter. The workplace, home, and school space is in confusion, and the psychological pandemonium has ravaged everyone, from grandparents to little children. But there is always a flip side to the disruption: innovation with rapid speed, terrific adaptation to change, more family time, mass vaccine production in India, crazy new vocabulary, smart leadership, and smarter networking. And that's what the old Laurentian Assembly and OL Nation has done. We now have new hope, new energy, and new impetus to Laurentians far and near. This teamwork, facilitated by leaders who grabbed the digital communication baton to foster unity across all batches, share talent, and professional competencies during critical times, is extraordinary evidence of the treasure that you carry with you from the Nilgiri Hills to wherever you are in the world. Looking back and connecting with your roots again and again, especially during a crisis, is a priceless connect. But I must get to the merry month of March, when the whole world ticks a box year after year. IWD, International Women's Day, March 8. This time with a clear theme: choose to challenge. I choose to challenge everything: the intent of the day, the awareness, the attention, the glorification. But then the celebration is empowering, and everybody loves a little attention, even if it is for one day. As I am just a teacher, I must admit that if you have the right skills of nurturing, communicating, and engaging with students, then your gender will never be an issue. I have always walked into the classroom to enjoy the learning journey thoroughly, there being less scope for gender bias or gender stereotypes. in a vibrant learning environment. But the IWD this time comes at a time of unprecedented crisis, a wild roller coaster ride with massive confusion for all of humanity. And in the midst of this earth shake, releasing pent up energy, women around the world have been hit hardest, almost hammered in. I keep wondering what the new world will be like on the other side of the tunnel as uncertainty continues and there are unprecedented aftershocks. Millions of women are driven out of the workforce, many struggling with burnout and what exists apparently as gender bias and gender stereotype is now manifested deeper into our societies. Before the pandemic, biased behavior evidenced by experts at Harvard found that 76% of a population associate men with work and women with family. With the surge in the pandemic, this data would have become much worse. Biased behavior is harmful. It is necessary for all of us to internalize that biases bring down societies. And so we must speak up when we see biased behavior in others. We must communicate to be a part of the solution. To all the lovely ladies and fine gentlemen who graduated from girls' school and senior school, and the on campus Laurentians who spent that one pandemic year in the plains, I think it is time for all of us to recommit ourselves to making the world safer, more equitable for all women. And that is the underlying intent of this month and the date March 8. Thank you very much, Beena and Johnny, for enabling this long distance sharing of thoughts with all Laurentians. Stay together forever to never give in. Goodbye, stay safe, and have a wonderful day.
Wow, that was a lovely note from Ms. Cheema. Thank you so much for taking some time to send us really those rallies. It was a rallying cry of sorts. Thank you once again for your voice. What we have next is a tribute to Ms. Cheema by Joseph Thomas.
I am Joseph.
And we're just going to go ahead and show that to you. Here is a celebration of Ms. Cheema.
I am Joseph Thomas from the class of 1957, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Sangeeta Cheema, the only lady headmistress that we've had so far, for the great efforts she took in helping us for our 60th year reunion. By way of perspective, if the present class wants to celebrate their 60th year reunion, it can only be in the year 2081. In 2015, I attended the 25th year reunion of my son and the 50th year reunion of my brother-in-law. I then thought, why not our class celebrate our 60th year reunion? I talked it over with my classmates and they welcomed the idea. And then I broached the subject with Mrs. Sangeeta Cheema. She also welcomed the idea and she took great pains to make the event a great success. I don't know how she did it, but she used all her diplomatic skill. But she managed I am Joseph Thomas from the class of 1957, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Sangeeta Cheema, the only lady headmistress that we've had so far, for the great efforts she took in helping us for our 60th year reunion. By way of perspective, if the present class wants to celebrate their 60th year reunion, it can only be in the year 2081. In 2015, I attended the 25th year reunion of my son and the 50th year reunion of my brother-in-law. I then thought, why not our class celebrate our 60th year reunion? I talked it over with my classmates and they welcomed the idea. And then I broached the subject with Mrs. Sangeeta Cheema. She also welcomed the idea and she took great pains to make the event a great success. I don't know how she did it, but she used all her diplomatic skill. She managed to get the President of India as the chief guest. So this was a great honor to our class. And not only did the president come for the reunion, we found out that he came to Coimbatore and he came up to Uti and Lovedale by helicopter. And his only function in the Nilgiris and Coimbatore was the founders parade of our school. So hats off and big thank you to Mrs. Sangeeta Cheema for making our 60th year reunion a grand occasion. Thank you, ma'am.
You know, I was just reflecting on the fact that this year's batch will celebrate their 60th in 2081. And I, for the life of me, can't fathom what that even means. So, wow, it's so wonderful that there's a batch that's been able to do that. Well, here's what we've got next. A little segue from this, journey to the past. Folks who've been following OL Assembly, you probably are aware of this segment. Folks who've just joined us for the first time today, we've got an ongoing segment called Glimpses of a Glorious Past. What this is a collective endeavor by OLs and current teachers at OL, Lawrence, Lovedale as well, to document the history of the school. Really just anecdotes and letters and any other kind of documentation. It's a really fun journey into the past. You can find this ebook on our website, olalovedale.net, under the history section. So do check it out. It's a living document. We just keep adding stuff to it. Today we're going to share a little bit about excerpts from that endeavor. Now we've taken on a new approach to Glimpses of a Glorious Past. We've got this wonderful new team who's putting this together and really raising that production value of this segment. Who's doing that for us? We've got an OL, Priya Beliappa, and she's from the batch of 1997. And what's so special about her involvement, not only is she fantastic in what she does, and what she does is that she's an award-winning documentary filmmaker. Now she's pulled together folks. We've got a presenter. You've already met her, guys. That's Elizabeth Verghese here, who's been our guest co-host today. She's going to be the presenter in this segment. And this is going to be accompanied by a photo essay. You're going to see accompanying photos with the presentation. Now the topic for today, while we're celebrating the women and OLs involved in this, the topic as such is about the folks who are involved in the building of the school. I didn't know this, but well, I don't know if it's fun, but it's certainly a fact, is there were Chinese prisoners that the British brought with them. And these folks had these tokens, their Chinese currency that they brought with them in huge numbers. And apparently till several decades into the school, those tokens were used as pocket money or exchange rate at the tuck shop and such things. Really fun little foray into our history. Have a wonderful time traveling through the sands of time.
From sunrise to sunset, day after day, year after year, these iconic buildings have weathered storm, rain, fog, and sunshine and have been home for generations of Laurentians since 1869. These buildings were constructed more than 150 years ago. In earlier episodes of Glimpses in the OL Assembly, you saw how Lawrence Asylum was established in Ootacamund in 1858 and how it was decided to move to Lovedale. Lawrence School was designed by legendary architect Robert Chisolm. He chose the Italianate style for the buildings as they cater to an exclusively British community. George Webster, an inmate of the Lawrence Asylum, writes about the actual shift from Stonehouse to Lovedale. He says, "I remember well the day we moved to Lovedale in 1869. The big boys marched the distance, but we, nursery boys, travelled in carts. Previous to starting at about 3 p.m., our tea was served, and on arrival at Lovedale, each of us were given a loaf of bread. We suffered from great thirst after the journey, and eating the bare bread, and no provision seemed to have been made for drinking water. At least, I was not aware of any. So fell to drinking the water that trickled in infinitesimal quantities from a barrel." These iconic buildings we know now as Senior School. Under the watchful eye of the British, these buildings were built by the Madras Army sappers and miners, along with the Chinese. The Chinese in the Nilgiris in the 1860s? Yes, the Chinese were convicts shipped to India from the Strait settlements post the Second Opium War because there was no place for them in prisons there. And it was much cheaper for the British to maintain these prisoners in India and get some work out of them in the bargain. This is how the Chinese ended up in the Nilgiris and consequently building our school.
When the school was built, there was no railway, no motor vehicles, no pakka roads, no electricity, and none of the modern machinery we take for granted. Bricks were made from local clay in a kiln at the site of the present grass pitch and winched up to the senior school by a tramway. This path still exists, though now barely recognizable because of the forest.
After that interesting fun fact, here's another. Did you know the first issue of our school magazine, The Laurentian, was published June 19th, 1911? In one early issue of the school magazine, George Webster recalls that the buildings at Lovedale were but half complete and work was being pushed on vigorously. According to him, there were over 500 convicts whose services were requisitioned for the construction of the building, and that the foundation of our tower was around 15 feet deep. The Chinese prisoners who were constructing our main school building were from Neduvattam jail. They were housed in temporary sheds in Lovedale for the duration of the project. The construction of our main building took 5 years, which is from 1864 to 1869, and they still stand in all their majesty over 150 years later. Did you know the Chinese tokens were used as school cash for over 10 years? Yes, the headmaster in 1950, Dr. G.F. Lakhani, introduced school cash in the form of Chinese coins, said to have been left by Chinese convicts from the Malay Straits who helped build school. Now, these coins were worth 2 annas each, regardless of their size. They have a square center surrounded with Chinese script.
The tuck shop was an integral part of our school days, and we used to long for the poko at the end of every week. When I was in junior school, 1961 to 63, I still remember these Chinese tokens we had. They were rather blackish in color, maybe a lot of grime and dirt and dust gathered over the years. stuck in our battle jackets for God knows how long. But they gave us a good treat, and we used to love them. And I think it was in 64 or 65 when I went to senior school that these Chinese tokens were withdrawn. Sadly, they were replaced by some plastic counters in multicolors. They were a poor substitute for these Chinese tokens. Of course, in those days, we had no idea of their history. But it's very interesting to know that decades later, they still figure in Lovedale conversation.
Pocket money, 20 rupees a month, 5 rupees a week, not enough to survive. You could either have a bar of Cadbury's chocolate or you could blanco your PT shoes. So tough decisions, but yeah, we chose to have the chocolate and steal chalk from the classroom to blanco the shoes.
What happened to the Chinese tokens dished out every week to hundreds of Lovedale kids? There's a mystery there. Would the Chinese tokens return in the mid-60s to the deep foundations dug by another generation of Chinese some 100 years ago? Or do they lie buried somewhere in the 750 acres that make up school's area? The next weekend, those of you who are in school can go hunting, look for that hidden treasure. Happy treasure hunting!
Oh, that was about 150 years of history in like 7 minutes, right? So, Elizabeth, just tell us a moment of. I know you're from the batch of 2013, and tell me how it was like. How was it like going back 150 years and researching all of this and presenting? Or how was the experience of going down that memory lane?
I think it was very interesting. I mean, so we all love school and we attend founders and we have everything, with regard to things from school. But no one has really, looked into the history, or we've not, had the opportunity. So being part of this team and being part of Glimpses kind of gave me that opportunity. I mean, who would have thought of Chinese in Lovedale? I mean, that's such an interesting thing. So I thought it was such a great experience to do it. And have a few Laurentians from a bunch of batches together. Anything is fun, right? Exciting on its own. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Also, like a special shout out to Kevin Phillips and Priya Thagraj for their valuable inputs, and Kuntal Desai, batch of 80, Sham Nair, class of 2002, for helping me put this all together. And if you had noticed, the artwork was done by a senior of mine and a friend, Nikita Biswas from the class of 2012. A special shout out to her too, because they were so lovely, a lovely inclusion in our video. So it was a great experience for them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's so interesting, like generations of Laurentians come together to put together the history of the school.
Yeah.
And, it was so nice to see all of that. Right. So quickly moving on now, we're going to be featuring another faculty. Now, this faculty is very special to me personally because outside of my home, because my parents were also teachers. So outside of my home, she was my first teacher. This teacher joined school as an apprentice in 1948 and continued into school till about the mid 80s, I think. She was, she started a feeder school as she retired, and that's where I went to, and was taught by her. I'm talking about none other than Mrs. Enos. Mrs. Enos is here to talk about what it is to be a teacher. And so, I think the fun fact about Mrs. Enos is that later this year she's going to turn 100. Right. So
wow.
It's going to be really interesting to see what Mrs. Enos has to say about her stay at Lawrence. So let's watch that.
Hello, Laurentians. Wherever you are, my warm greetings go out to you. You gave me a chance of teaching you. Thereby, I gained a rich experience in the field of education. Teaching seems to be a natural extension of motherhood, dealing with the different feelings, backgrounds, and capabilities. A teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart. Before I faced my class, I hesitated for a while to pray for help to understand, guide, and lead each child. I commanded discipline in the classroom, received respect, preserved a certain amount of etiquette, taught values, was able to persuade, than order. I kept my distance. Still, I was with the child and I listened. In whatever avenue, second to none is teaching, a dedicated job, right from the cradle. In my time, technology was limited, yet our children have made me proud. You are doing well. God bless you.
Wow, there's just something about Mrs. Enos that, just automatically puts a smile on everyone's face. And I don't think there is a Laurentian who hasn't seen her. She would make appearances when we would have functions in school. She'd be a chief guest or something, and it's just so nice to see her. So for that, I'd like to thank Sangeeta Jairam, class of 87, for making this possible, for helping us get this video. So thank you. Now, next we've got a musical number. We've got Sarita Arana, class of 85, singing To Ma'am with Love. Now, this is a song from the 60s, from the late 60s, and it would be accompanied by a photo essay. Now, this is a photo essay of teachers from past and present, and I hope you enjoy. Here's To Ma'am with Love.
Those schoolgirl days of naughty tales and biting nails are gone, but in our minds we know there will still live on and on. But how do you thank them all who have taken you from cursive to adolescence? It isn't easy, but we'll try. If you wanted the sky, we would ride across the sky in letters that would soar 1,000 feet high to our lands with love. The time has come. The fun school days and Lawrence ways must end. And as we go, we're leaving our great teachers behind. Those who taught us right from wrong and weak from strong, that's a lot to learn. What can we give you in return? If you wanted the moon, we will try to make a start. You will always be in our heart. To our lands with love.
That brought really some memories about some of those teachers whom I had the good fortune of knowing personally, because growing up as a staff child in Lawrence, you had the opportunity of knowing so many of those teachers personally because my parents knew them. And, it was so nice to see that as part of this journey. It's really nice. And thanks to our own Nightingale, Sarita Ina, for singing that so beautifully for us. All right. So thanks very much for that. Right. Next up, we've got a set of OL girls, so all Laurentian women, who have answered a certain set of questions for us on sharing their experiences about their favorite songs and just their experiences in school. Right, it's a big shout out to for so many of them to coming together, because this is really part 2 of this. So it's really interesting to see how they've answered these questions for us. So let's see what they have to say.
The one song at the founders dance that got me going. Actually, anything by the Beatles. I still love George Harrison and I still listen to the Beatles.
The one song that got me up and moving was Black Magic Woman, and I didn't realize it at that time, but that's when my lifelong affair with Carlos started.
That would have to be ABBA's Dancing Queen. It still makes me dance, actually. Hotel California. Give Me Everything by Neo.
Let's twist again. Our era was the era of the twist.
Surangani. In the 60s, we had to wait for the boys to come and ask us to dance with them, even though our foot were tapping to the music of jailhouse rock.
The November Rain. Whenever I hear it till date, it only brings back school memories.
I got a feeling by Pack High Pace.
My favorite song would be Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol.
Music that really got me moving was the Beatles.
My favorite song would be probably a Cliff Richard song, Can't Remember.
Don't Wanna Miss a Thing by Aerosmith.
Brother Louie. I think that one. We used to call them the Easter and Founders Dance. And yes, since we were there in the 60s, it was the Beatles.
Going to the tuck shop with my current flame.
One of my favorite co-curricular activities was gymnastics when it started. I was lucky enough to be in one of the first batches, and Bharatan was an amazing teacher, and it was such fun.
The orchestra with Denzel Prince.
Best co-curricular activity in school for me was dating. Dating.
Basketball. Football. Band was that extra curricular. Let's go with band. I loved it. For those of you who don't know, our batch was the first girls' band in Lovedale's history. And the instruments they chose were the pipes and drums. I played the bagpipes till 1983. And it's such a passionate instrument, absolutely fantastic.
Favorite co-curricular activity was, of course, art, Danny's classroom, and all those yummy, gooey paints. Ooh.
I used to love writing poetry and reciting poems also. I still do. In terms of extracurriculars, I loved performing Bharatanatyam dances for founders. And for sports, I used to love playing football and hockey.
Table tennis.
Sports, closer to the tournament season when we all used to practice together. And also band practice when I was in the 12th standard. So that's drummers retreat practice.
Debating was a big, exciting thing for me. I would have butterflies in my stomach, but at the same time, it was very exciting.
We had no co-curricular activities allowed, period. But the one thing I do remember the most and very fondly was that our hockey coach allowed us before an inter-school tournament to play with the senior boys, or rather practice with them. That was a real thrill.
My favorite co-curricular activity was horse riding.
There's no such thing. Seriously.
The boys was the inter-school sports.
ABDMP, which stood for Art Band
dance, Indian music, and piano as the many options. So out of the 4 periods that we had in co-curricular activities, 2 was for Indian dancing and 2 I learned the piano and I enjoyed it.
Needlework. Sisodia was a great teacher. And
one word to describe girls' school. Just one? I mean, I was in Lovedale for 9 years, so I think one of the best things to come out of the school was bonding. And maybe that's the one word that I was looking for.
Girls' school experience? Bonding.
Exhilarating. Oh, naughty, notoriousness.
Friendships. I would say that it was a lot of fun because you made a lot of friends.
Challenging.
A word to describe my girls' school experience would definitely be a roller coaster.
Girls' school experience, I would say, was up and down.
definitely a sense of routine and punctuality.
One word that describes my girls' school experience would be cherished.
One word for school was probably amazing still. I would still say that. Thank you.
Empowering. I would say friendship.
I think adjust Madi.
Empowering, bonding, friendship. Well, I think, and also co-curricular activities ranging from horse riding to band to, whatnot. I think that's just what sums up what Lawrence School is about, right? I think it was so nice for them to live those memories back and share that with us. So thank you so much to all the OL girls who put that together for us, right? Moving on to the next segment. The next segment is going to be featuring 2 senior, very old staff of our school. We're going to pay a tribute to them. We're going to be featuring a tribute to Mrs. C.Y. Balakrishnan, or CYB as I used to know her during my time in school. She was also known as Ma Balu. And the other one is Mrs. Nargis Gupta, Ma Gupu. I'm sure you would have heard a lot of old girls talk about this in earlier sessions, right? Now, these 2 teachers were, actually quite the legend in the time in school because of the popularity that they held with students, right? And they spent quite a lot of time, roughly about 2 decades or more in the campus, and taught generations of Laurentians, right? So it's apt to pay this tribute to them, and this tribute is going to be paid by Saz Agrawal from the batch of 77. So over to you, Saz.
Mrs. C.Y. Balakrishnan was the maths teacher who motivated me to develop my aptitude for the subject. She encouraged us to use first principles to solve riders and understand theorem proofs, and I feel this helped us to develop sound structures of thinking. She also started a maths club with enrichment activities, which I still remember. And some years later, when I became a lecturer in maths and she retired, she gave me her collection of maths books, which I still have. Ma Balu was also house mistress of Pankaj House, and over the years we became very fond of each other. She was kind in a matter-of-fact kind of way, caring without being cuddly. Basically, someone who didn't believe in self-indulgence. It was only many years later that I understood that it was the tragedy and struggles of her own life that had made her this kind of person. She was just 30 years old when her husband suddenly died an untimely death. Their son was only 5. She'd led a sheltered life, but somehow found the strength to go on. In those days, to be an Indian widow meant living under the protection of your father or brother. But Mrs. Balakrishnan somehow found the strength to withstand all family pressures and lead an independent life. She took her young son back to the UK and they lived there on their own. He went to school, and after she qualified as a teacher at the London University, she got a job. But a few years later, somehow she was convinced to join Lawrence, and she moved there, and it must have been difficult for her and her son.
But for the girls at school, it was really something great. They were delighted, and many of them till today remember her very fondly as a young woman who brought in new teaching techniques. And, with her cheerful nature, she brought a breath of fresh air into their dull academic lessons. By the time I joined school, Ma Balu had been there for more than 10 years, and she was an institution. One of the things us Pankaj House girls loved most about our house mistress was that she loved to cook. And she would cook lots of food, and she would, her Pubadi Pui, her attendant, would bring a big tray out into the dorm, and whoever was there could help themselves. Over the years, we stayed in touch, and my family and I, even after Ma Balu left school, we'd visit her. She retired to Calicut. Then after that, she went and lived in London for some years with her son, and then moved to Delhi. And we'd spend time with her. Sometimes we'd stay over. We always felt at home. There would always be super food, parcels to take back. And she'd always update us on everyone's news, because we weren't the only ones staying in touch. And OLs across the decades would call and write and visit. And this was another life lesson for us. It was in December 2005 when I saw an email on the Old Laws Yahoo group, which said that Ma Gupu, that's Mrs. Nergis Gupta, was in hospital in Pune. And I went to visit. Apparently, she'd been brought in by ambulance from Panchgani, where she used to teach in a school ever since Mr. Gupta died 17 years before that. At that time, when I met her in Jahangir Hospital in Pune, Margot was 81 years old, and she told me that she worked every day from 8 in the morning till 7 in the evening, and that her favorites were the first standard kids. But she was still teaching geography, French, and English to the higher classes. One morning, she woke and started getting ready for work as usual, and she suddenly found herself lying on the floor. So she got up and she kind of patted around for broken bones, treated herself with haldi and sugar, bathed in neem water, Magopu, and went off to class. But then a few days later, she collapsed again and she had to be taken to a hospital. Now, Magopu told me that when Pagopu died, she had donated his Provident Fund and their savings to school and assumed that the universe would provide. And it did. She continued working and stayed independent. And after she stopped working, the OL community did an amazing job of looking after her. I mean, I was there in the hospital with her one day when she received an envelope from an anonymous donor, which had 2,000 rupees in it. And that there were lots of other little contributions. Many of my classmates were also very generous with her. After she was discharged from hospital in Pune, Deepak Dalal, who was batch of 1974, and we arranged for her to live in comfortable places where she had company, and the payment wasn't very high and good standard of living. And then after about a year, Deepak arranged for her to travel to School for Founders, where she was felicitated. And then she stayed on in the Nilgiris. Another OL made arrangements for her to stay in a home in Kunur. Over the years, I've read messages from people in other batches who admired Ma Gupu for the way she taught geography and for the way she helped them to learn to love the planet.
Ma Balu, we've heard about her a great deal today. By the way, folks, keep tuning in. We've got a little other segment on her again. I don't have words to express just how much of an impact she appears to have had on her students. So wonderful. Like I said earlier as well, just calling teachers with the prefix Ma, I find it very, very sweet and touching. So thank you once again, Saz, for sending us your testimonial and tribute to your teachers. Guys, the next segment is something that is a favorite. We've got Quizdale coming up. So, Quizdale folks who are tuning in for the first time, this is the first time you're watching OL Assembly. This is where we get OLs to come on and we sort of play a Jeopardy style quiz. And the questions are often about, not often, always about everything to do with school, any kind of trivia, and it's just a rollicking time. So what we have this time is a set of participants, all wonderful women of Lovedale, ranging from batches from 85 all the way through the 10s, 2012. So that's really fun to see the generational gap as well. Now we've got the reigning champion coming back. That's Ria. She's in Aravali. So why I mention a house is because, guys, we're tracking your scores. Whoever participates, whatever score you end up with, you contribute that to your house. So we're going to go ahead and show you what the leaderboard is in just a moment. Now, the winners of this, and you'll hear the Quizmasters talk about this as well, they win some prizes. And this month's Quizdale is sponsored by R. Nandakumar from the batch of 81. So let's have a look at the leaderboard as we get into the segment. Let's have a look at the scores here. Alrighty, so we've got, you can see who's winning there. Let's have a look at what's happening in this Quizdale and see who finally leads the board. Have a good time watching this segment.
Hello, lovely ladies, and welcome to another episode of Quizdale, the quiz game about Lawrence School Lovedale. I am your host and quizmaster Sarita Ayana from the batch of 1985. Today's episode is sponsored by R. Nandakumar, batch of 1981, Vindhya House. All participants in today's game will receive a set of six coasters and a lapel pin, and the winner will additionally get a silk stole. My co-host is Natraj Kaushik, also from the batch of 1985. Over to you, Nati.
Thanks, Sari. Hello and welcome to you all. It's good to see you. This quiz game is in the style of Jeopardy. There's a board with topics across the top. Each topic has 3 clues of increasing difficulty in its column. Of course, the harder the question, the greater the points. You choose your questions or clues, which are in the form of answers, and your answers need to be in the form of questions. This is a special Prides of March episode. All participants are women, as is the quiz master. The questions are also all about girls' school and school dames. We are here to have lots of fun and perhaps learn something new about Lawrence along the way. All the best to you all. Let's begin with introductions about yourselves with your name and batch. Ria, as returning champion, do you want to go first?
Hello everyone, my name is Ria Shergil and I'm from Rapli batch of 2012 and I'm happy to be back again.
Welcome, Ria. Yashodhara, do you want to go?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm Yashodhara Singh, Nilgiri House, batch of 2009.
Yeah. And finally, Shen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Shanaz Bolton from Pankaj House and batch of 1985.
Thank you all and all the best. Over to you, Sari.
Thank you. So let me take you through how the game is played. You take turns to answer questions. You choose the question for yourselves by picking a panel on the board. You have 15 seconds to answer. Nati will keep time. The first answer given by you will be considered as the final answer. The quiz master's decision is final. Points will be added to your score for a correct answer. Points will be deducted from your score for any incorrect or wrong answer. The participant who has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Points are also added to the running total of house points to your respective houses. So let's get started. Ria, we will start with you. And before we start, give us an interesting story about something related to school.
During the 150th Founders Day parade, my best friend and I, we were both Arabians, so we were pretty close, we were pretty excited about it. And Dr. Abdul Kalam came for that Founders. So both of us had some free time after parade. So we were just wandering around next to the headmaster's office, and we saw this Anna. We said, Anna, we started clicking photos, and we pretended as if that was a paparazzi for us. And we clicked a lot of photos. We were laughing. Then finally, we saw the head boy walk. Said, "They're clicking photos." And then we just started laughing the shit, yeah. Someone scolded us, but then we realized nobody can scold us. Kids are happily going and sitting on the side. So that was one of the most interesting and best memories I have.
Nice story. Okay, so Ria, will you choose a question for yourself from the board?
Yes, I'd go for Campus 100.
Okay, Campus 100. 2 rooms in girls' school named after colors.
Blue room, no, that was the rec room. Yashoda smiling. I think this time very difficult. No, a blue room. What is the blue room?
2 rooms, Ria.
Time's up.
Pink room. I know one is.
Okay, so let's see what the answer is.
Blue room. See, I got one.
Yeah, you were correct.
And green room.
So how about, sorry, we give Ria half the points.
Okay, we'll give you half the points, Ria. So Ria gets 50. Okay, so Yash is next. Yash?
Again, 200 campus.
All right, let's see what it is. A hall named after a former head girl.
Who is Jessie Joseph?
All right.
Okay, and the hall is called?
JJ.
What is the full?
I think you got it.
We'll give it to you. Jessie Joseph Memorial Hall.
Learn prep school, prep hall. So I think that.
All right. Shanaz, choose a question.
100 teachers. Sounds like.
Okay. She will be 100 this year.
Is it Mrs. Enos?
All right, and we will give it to you. Who is Mrs. Enos?
Okay, who is this?
Yes.
So
That's
at
what
the
you
end
give
of
us
the
the
first
score.
round, yep. So at the end of the first round, Ria has 50, Yash has 200, and Shanaz has 100. And we'll start the next round with Yashodhara.
With Yash. Okay. Yash, you.
Okay.
Yash, before we start, give us an interesting story from school, please.
Oh no. Okay. Okay. So we all had, like, we had to get up in the morning, and we had our regular. We had to go the grass pitch route for morning activities. And that day, I think our batch was very united. So we told everybody that we'll probably scuff it. We'll take a shortcut and we'll come. Okay. And finally we did that, and we got away with everything. And then we had to come up. We came up the Flagstaff way, and then finally when we came up there, I mean, from like, I think 100 meters away, Kuldeep sir was standing there, and he just caught us, like, right there when we were finishing it. I mean, and it was 5 kilometers, and all of us got caught, and then we had to, like, obviously, we had to go for rounds and all of that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The last
I
bit
just
of
remember
it.
that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So
what do you want to pick?
Yeah, I'll go for famous dames for 200.
All right.
Oh,
Founder of Jet
no.
Set Go.
Oh shit, no.
OL Nations.
I'm sorry, I pass. I do not know this.
Okay, so let's look at the answer.
Yes, I know her. Her brother was in my batch. Yes.
Pretty,
Okay.
yeah, pretty close to your batch.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Shanaz, your turn.
Okay, so I'll go for miscellany 200.
Okay, miscellany 200. The uniform comprising a white shirt, turtleneck, black cardigan, and grey pants.
What is evening kit?
Close enough, but not quite. No.
Okay.
What is the winter kit or the winter day kit? So this happened after our time, Shanaz.
Yeah, we never had this.
They
Yeah.
had a different kit for winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yash, what was the point you had in the previous question? Was it 200? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So we have to.
All right. And now it's Ria's turn.
I'd go for 100 miscellaneous.
All right. Dorm named after an alphabet.
L-Dom. What is L-Dom? I was in it.
Okay. What is the L dorm or the T dorm? Okay. Good one, Ria. 100 points to you.
So at the end of the second round, we have Ria with 150, Yash with 0, and Shanaz with -100. There's a long way to go, everybody. So you can always catch up.
Yes, this game does throw up surprises. Shanaz, you will start the next round. And before we start, give us an interesting story about school from your side.
So I was in the 6th standard, I think, when we had our PT and MT. I don't know if the next gen knew it was like the physical training in the morning, and alternate day was the military training where we used to do our march past. So it was one of the days of our MT practices, and Ma Daniels had come, and she was the teacher in charge, and she had brought her Alsatian with her. So we finished our march past practice, and then at the end of it, me being a dog lover, I went to pet her dog, and then it just jumped on me. So, and I got scratched on my face and everything, and my mom was called. I had to go to Pasteur Institute to get my shot. And after that, it was 7 injections daily, one by one, on my stomach. So I didn't mind it because I was missing out on second prep. So after dinner, everybody else would go for second prep. And at that time, I had this skull mask. It was a rubber skull mask. And when I knew second prep was over and the girls were coming up, I'd go sit in the quilt cupboard. There were about 4 or 5 quilt cupboards. And I'll hide in there with the quilt over me. So when the girls would come to take their quilts, I would like jump out and I'd be scaring them. So this happened like probably 3 or 4 days in a row. And finally they found out it was me. Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
So
okay. Choose.
Nice memories.
Yeah.
Nice memories, really.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go for teachers 200.
All right. She married her colleague on school campus.
Who is Matama? Also Grace and
Matama, no. They didn't get married on campus. Sujata Ganeshan, who they called SG in their time, she married her colleague on school campus. They got married, I think, in the JJ Memorial Hall. I'm not too sure where, but I think in one of those. They got married in school.
Oh,
yeah, so they're the only ones who got married on campus.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Ria, your turn now.
Famous dames for 100.
Okay. First OL to become Miss India.
Who's Meher Castellino, I think. Yeah, Castellino something. Yeah.
Okay, so
1964. Yeah, I remember.
So we will give that to you. Very good, Meher Mistry. Yes.
yeah, maybe her married name is
It was
different. So, yeah.
Castellino, yes. Yash, your turn. Audio.
I'll go for history for 100.
All right. The girls' band started this year. Take a guess.
1930.
Your time is up. So if you want to
1930? What is 1930?
Very optimistic, no. 1979.
Pretty late.
All right. So the scores for this round, Nati?
The scores read Ria 250, Yashodhara -100, and Shanaz -300.
Come on, Yash and Shanaz. Shanaz, Pankaj House, come on. Yeah. All the nice and easy questions.
History for 200.
First girl to command the Founders' Day parade in 77. I mean,
I don't know this. I'm sorry. I'll pass. This I don't.
Rohini Gopalan. Yeah, so Rohini was in the ninth.
Ninth, when she commanded the parade. Yeah.
Commanded the parade.
Wow.
All right, so we go on to Yash. Your turn now.
I'll go for 300 campus.
All right. The girls' house paired with Aravali.
Means I didn't understand the question.
So let me give you a little background. When we were in school, the girls' houses were Pankaj, Champak, and Devdar. And with the years, those houses got merged with the boys' houses. Now, which one of those houses, either Pankaj, Champak, or Devdar, got merged with Aravali?
Champak. What is Champak?
All right.
You are correct.
Not bad, Yash. Was that a wild guess?
Yes, it was.
Very good. Because I don't think you all even knew that the earlier houses were Pankaj, Champak, and Devdar, right?
No, it did.
I knew that, but I didn't know that it was fair to the boys.
Yeah,
And
so our houses got merged, with the boys' houses, which of course we are not very happy about because we are very proud of our houses.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, Pankaj. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Shanaz.
I will go in for miscellany 300.
All right. A girl was called this if she didn't get asked for a dance during dinner and dance.
What is wallflower?
Yes, and that is correct.
Yes.
That's good. We were very familiar with that term.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the end of the fourth round, Ria, you're at 50, Yashodhara, you're at 200, and Shanaz, you're at 0. So there has been a shake-up, as you can see.
Yes. Interesting.
With one last round to go and Yash starting.
Okay, I'm gonna go for history 300.
All right. Year that school stopped providing hand-me-down uniforms to the girls.
Oh no, I'll just take a guess. 1968. Not sure.
All right.
We'll just say it was closer to your time. That's your clue.
Okay. 2001. Just taking a guess. Not sure. Okay.
It was in 1992.
Okay.
That happened. All right. Yeah. Shanaz, your turn now.
I'll go in for teachers 300.
All right. The longest serving head of girls' school.
Whoa.
Who served from 1948 to 1975.
What is Mrs. Balakrishnan? Oh, I wanted to say Bala. I wanted to say Bala.
Yeah, who is Shakuntala? Bala.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And the last question, Ria.
Famous dames 300.
The first female sports photographer in England.
I don't know. Would you give me a year kind of thing? Maybe I could give that.
All right.
I think she was in school in the 40s and 50s or something like that. No.
In the 50s, I think she passed out in the 50s. Way back.
Yes, I don't know.
She was featured on OL Nation.
I don't know, sir. Oh yeah.
High money.
Sorry, Ria, you did not get that.
Yes.
And so, in today's, the final scores are Ria at -250, Yash at -100, and Shanaz at -300. So with a score of -100, Yashodhara wins today's game.
Well done,
it's all
Yash.
relative, no? So we'll
done,
just flip
Yash.
the
negative, but
well done.
Very tough questions.
Yeah, so we just spanned it across eras and made sure we covered a lot of different eras and generations with the questions.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of today's game, which was a lot of fun. Thank you all very much for participating and for being such good sports. We will be back with another episode of Quizdale in the next OL assembly. If you would like to participate and be a winner in this fun game, please write to us at olalovedale@gmail.com. I repeat, the email ID is olalovedale@gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the OL assembly.
Those are fun. Let's have a look at the leaderboard, guys, at the end. What we showed you before was the post. So let's have a look at that again. Okay, so we can see that Sumeru is in the lead. So just a little reminder what it was before. It was Aravali in the lead before Quizdale. And after this month's Quizdale, it's Sumeru. So like Sari called out, guys, folks in the other houses, buck up, sign up, be part of the Quizdale so that you can contribute points to your house. Okay, let's move on to the next segment, guys. What we have is another wonderful little tribute from an OL, Gitanjali Rao. You've already seen her in some earlier segments today. I do want to connect the dots for us here, folks who tuned into last month's assembly. Gitanjali is actually part of one of the OL couples, meaning OLs who ended up spending the rest of their lives with OLs. So she's got a little tribute here for the famous Ms. C.Y. Balakrishnan, whom you've heard about already. But here's a lovely little tribute by Gitanjali Rao, batch of 1980.
Mrs. Balakrishnan. She was undoubtedly my favorite teacher at school and someone who touched my heart. While I was at school, I never quite realized or even thought about how special she was. To me, she was just Ma Bhalu, our house mistress. Warm, kind, caring, generous, non-judgmental, a wonderful cook who fed us constantly. She was also someone who found it extremely difficult to punish anyone, though she would look try to look really angry, roll her eyes, and wag her finger at us vigorously every time she caught us bunking prep or games or breaking the 9 p.m. lights out curfew, which seemed to happen constantly. She was also that lady who held my hand and gave me that reassuring look as I watched my parents drive away after they dropped me off at school for the very first time. For me, that forged our bond immediately. Happy or sad, excited or disappointed, lonely, upset, angry, she was my go to person. And in that very special way of hers, she would put things in perspective, leaving me calm and ready to go again. Mrs. Balkrishnan definitely had a lot of patience, and who better than me to know that? If at all I have any understanding or have even the basic of math right, it is because of her and definitely not because of my aptitude. In 2008, which was about 28 years after I had left school, in a busy shopping area of Delhi, I heard someone frantically saying, Geetanjali, Geetanjali. I just stopped in my tracks, and when I turned around, I saw Ma Bhalu leaning out of the car, waving me down and calling me. And when I asked her, Ma'am, how did you recognize me after all these years? She looked at me with that familiar smile and said, Well, how couldn't I have? Mrs. Balkrishnan and I kept in touch over the years till she passed away. Ma'am, on behalf of the girls of the class of 1980, I would like to read this verse. It's adapted loosely from the lyrics of the song To Serve with Love. You are someone who taught us right from wrong, weak from strong. You taught us patience and calm, how to be gentle and warm. That's an awful lot to learn. What can we give you back in return? If you wanted the moon, we would try and make a start, but we would rather you let us give you our hearts. To you, ma'am, forever, with our love and gratitude.
Somebody recognizing an old teacher recognizing an old student after almost 50 years, that I think really sums up the entire memory that was brought together in that entire episode. So thanks, Geetanjali, for sharing that memory, and thanks for paying that lovely tribute to Ma Balu or CYB, right? So up next is so we've got yet another segment of all girls answering questions about their time in school and their memories in school, and this time they're going to be talking about of course they will be talking about yet another segment about extracurricular activities that were there in school, and also about how the school prepped them up into taking on the bigger world after they pass out of school, right? And I think this was summed up so beautifully by our headmaster, in the beginning of the show, right? So I think let's hear from them on how school helped them grow, after school. So up to them now for the video.
How are we prepared for the gendered world? Boarding life itself makes you a toughie, so you are able to face anything once you leave school.
Never really gave it a thought as a gendered world. It didn't hit us while we were in school that there is something different between the two genders. So no, I think it just gave us equal, like equality, equal chances.
Hmm. But I say that the woman of today is smarter than the man in every way. Harry Belafonte style. We believe that.
It just seems so natural and seamless. I don't think I ever thought of anything.
Lovedale didn't prepare me for the gendered world at all. What did was my life as an Air Force daughter.
I think Lovedale taught me to always believe in myself and to fight for what I want and to never think of anything as impossible.
To bide my time but never give in.
I think all it did was prepare us for that. We were given absolutely no freedom to do anything in comparison to what our batch guys were doing on the other side of the hill. So I guess it was a constant battle of why not, and a deep down conviction that one day we would be able to do whatever we wanted to do.
I think time in school kind of helped us learn to be more independent, and given circumstances in school, it also kind of taught us to speak up for ourselves and be more assertive and ask for what we wanted, and kind of developed the sense of questioning the why not factor in life.
There, I think I have become a much more confident person through my time at Lovedale, and this has actually helped me voice out my opinions and speak against bias, be it in the workplace or even otherwise.
I'm always of the belief that, it's all problems and solutions. It really comes down to the individual. And I think Lovedale actually taught me the quality of courage, the ability to handle any situation that I was faced with, to succeed in any environment. And that's so irrespective of description and how you might define it, you've always got to have the capacity to succeed. And that's what I took away from boarding school. I'm very grateful for it.
Nothing better. What would be nothing better than we have an co-ed school, so we're exposed to the opposite sex.
Well, it taught a lot, actually. It's I think I owe a lot of the confidence that I have today, the ability to accept different personalities and try to survive within that those differences. It also, I think, taught us on how to use opportunities which presented themselves, like in learning different things. Many things actually, which have helped me in today's world to, I would say, learn from school.
We weren't very happy to be leaving school. It was a mixed feeling. One, that we are graduating and leaving school and going out into the world. The other, that who knows when we will see other friends again. Co-education exposed us to the fact that boys were from the same planet as us. They were no different.
The participation in athletics instilled a spirit of sport and a mind to keep fit always.
Who do you think had a more fun time at school, girls or boys?
Definitely us girls.
The boys might have had a more exciting, adventurous time in school, but I think fun was had by the girls.
I genuinely think girls had more fun, and some of my best friends till date, actually my closest friends, are my friends from school.
Maybe the boys and the girls had a different way of having fun. Little treats like midnight feasts, going the outdoor activities like the Bulbuls and Duke of Edinburgh schemes, that kept us going. A lot of fun.
School, I think it's the girls.
I can't answer for the guys, but I know we did.
Well, I would definitely say we had a lot of fun because we used to have these midnight parties.
I think girls indoors, boys outdoors.
There is no doubt in my mind that the boys had way more fun.
I would say the boys. The boys had a lot more freedom than us girls, right? We never strayed much beyond the girls' school grounds, and we weren't wandering down to pitches and wherever it is you guys went to.
Definitely girls. I'm going to second that. Girls for sure. We had a ball in girls' school. They'll never know what happened.
I think everyone had fun in school. But if I had to choose, I'd say girls. I might be a little biased.
I think we had fun too. In fact, I think in some ways maybe more than the boys, because we didn't have the big burden of being bullied.
I definitely believe the boys had more fun. Being in girls' school, we had the fun we could, but let's just say they had more space and more area to have that fun.
who had more fun? I would definitely say the boys had more fun.
So I thought that was such a lovely, set of questions. It was very interesting. I thought it was very interesting to see how each person from various batches had a different answer and a different outlook at these questions. From how it shaped us into who we are today, and how school prepared us for what lay out there. And it's nice to see what everyone has kind of taken out of this experience. And thank you to everybody who participated. That was a very, very good video. So coming up next, we have Sangeeta Jairam from the class of 87. She is currently the alumni coordinator from school, and she's joining us to talk about her life in school. So here's Sangeeta Jairam.
Hi, Laurentians from all over the world. March is the month of International Women's Day, and being a woman characterizes us as being so versatile. From being a mother to riding motorcycles all over the world, and now coming back to Lawrence and teaching and giving back to school has been really, really one of the most gratifying things that I could have done. And I think I owe all of this to the foundation I received in Lawrence School, Lovedale, and I'm ever grateful for being an old Laurentian. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you, Sangeeta. It was so nice to hear you, talk about that. Right. So next up, I think is a very interesting segment that we have. It's a very interesting piece of. It's going to be a short film that we put together, and I think this segment actually talks about everything that we've spoken about in this evening, right? About the various roles the women play, about how they get prepared up for the gendered world, how they compete, and so it's really nice to to see this really sum up everything that a woman stands for and everything that is come together. So thanks to Sham Nair for putting this video of that perfectly sums up this Women's Day special. So over to you.
Let's go, girls. I'm going out tonight, I'm feeling alright. Gonna let it all hang out. Wanna make some noise, really raise my voice. Yeah, I wanna scream and shout. No inhibitions, make no conditions. Get a little out of line. I ain't gonna act politically correct. I only wanna have a good time. The best thing about it being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun. Oh, get totally crazy. Forget I'm a lady. Men shirt, short skirts. Oh, here we go out, yeah, doing it in style. Oh, get in the action, feel the attraction. Color my hair, doing it there. I wanna be free and feel the way I feel. And man, I feel like a woman. The best thing about it being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun. Oh, get totally crazy. Forget I'm a lady. Men shirt, short skirts. Oh, really go out, yeah, doing it in style. Oh, get in the action, feel the attraction. Color my hair, doing it there. I wanna be free and feel the way I feel. And man, feel like a woman. Totally crazy, forget I'm a lady. Men shirt, short skirts, really go out, yeah. Doing that in style, getting the action, feel the attraction, color my hair, doing the dance, I wanna be free and feel the way I feel. And man, I feel like a woman.
I think that was just so much fun. What a song. I mean, I bet most of you were grooving, because I definitely was. What a fantastic song, a beautiful video. And it also shows us that women are literally everywhere, can do everything. And this was such a perfect way to showcase that. So what a great video. So coming up next, we have another tribute to Ma Balu, as you've heard of her previous parts of this assembly. Now, there's a little fun story behind how this came about. So there was an OL gathering at Mr. Nandakumar, class of 81's house. And, casual conversation, stories exchanged, so on and so forth. And our fearless leader, Mr. Kuntal Desai, class of 80, was present and active and thought that that was the best moment to capture. So thanks to him, he had recorded a conversation. So we have with us Gitanjali Rao, class of 80, Tenmuri Kari, class of 81, and Sujata Bisaria Goidi, class of 80, talking about Ma Bala. So enjoy.
So Ma Balu is a real darling, and hey, she was Pankaj house mistress.
Yeah, she was a real sweetheart.
Yeah.
And Pui, her maid.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember?
Right.
Wow. That's something you remember.
Yeah, I
know. What is incredible is that in 2008, I was in Delhi. From the car window, Ma Bhalu, she spotted me. Can you believe? I left school in 1980, and in 2008, she recognized me.
That's because you look the same.
And it was so nice. And you remember we ended up going for lunch?
Yeah. I'll never forget in the night, like any.
Your punishment.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yes.
The favorite was, I'll tell you once, I'll tell you twice, then I will start rolling my eyes.
And once Anna Verghese and me, we were in that last Pankaj House dorm, the L-shaped dorm. It was past 9 o'clock, lights out. I don't know what we were doing. She came out and, of course, caught us in the act. And we were made to kneel, both of us, Anna and me. And first we giggled, and then afterwards we kept quiet. And then suddenly I heard Anna say, "Oh, I need to go to the beach."
Oh my God. So sad.
She was strict. Remember once during the Duke's camp, all of us had hitchhiked. Okay. And a whole lot of us gold batch, and we went through some tea bushes. We hid in the tea bushes, and then we came out just when she came on the car and said, "Tell me the truth now." And then all of us just looked at each other. Mom, we just came through the shortcut everywhere. She caught us. We didn't get our gold medals.
I've never seen that. I never thought of her as so strict.
I remember we bunked to tea in the +2, and she knew about it. She never said anything.
That's why I don't remember the side of.
But she did favor us, like +2. In +2, she favored us.
Yeah, she was very loving. She used to make lovely food in her house. Anytime if you walked in, but always offered nice cookies and stuff like that. Very nice, very loving.
I think that was so much fun. I think what I love about this is that they were just chatting, swapping stories back and forth, and it kind of adds a little fun to that whole conversation. And it's nice to hear, different experiences and stories. So what a great video that was.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think when topics of teachers become casual conversations, that just shows how much of popularity that those teachers enjoyed through the years with many students, and I think that's a very nice thing, to be there. Moving on, I think continuing in line with that segment, I think next up is a segment of it's a photo montage of a tribute that we're paying to teachers, a song to thank teachers. The song is called Shukriya, right, which in Hindi instantly means thank you. So it's just a thank you song for our teachers. The original song Shukriya was sung by well-known singers Arijit Sahai and Kavita Kodiyal, but in this OL assembly, it's sung by one more of our nightingales in this group, Sujata Bisaria from the batch of 1980 Nigoel. So let's hear Shukriya.
शुक्रिया 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 आज जो भी है हम सब है आपकी ही बदौलत आपके समर्पण को सलाम शुक्रिया 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 हाथ थाम के आपने है हमको सब सिखाया माफ की गलतियां संभाला जब भी लड़खड़ाया शुक्रिया 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 शुक्रिया
No, all I can really say to this is Shukriya. Shukriya indeed. I mean, these teachers helped and really made us what we are today. So, coming up next, we've got a walk down memory lane for faculty. We have two teachers who are going to speak about their time in school. We have Elizabeth Gupta, who was a piano teacher at Lovedale, and she taught in school from 86 to 92. And we also have Sonali Ghosh. She is presently teaching social studies at Lawrence. So here are these teachers.
Hi friends, it's so good to be here in Lovedale, even though it's a virtual get-together. What struck me most when I got to Lovedale was the sheer size of the campus. Beautiful campus and so vast, it was really a wonderful place to be in. The second one, I had enough freedom within my curriculum to do whatever I planned to do with the kids. So I didn't have any problems there. The third one, my favorite spot was my music room, and my favorite term was the term before the Christmas holidays. Lastly, the children made everything worthwhile, and so I loved every minute of my stay in Lovedale. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day and all the best. Thanks for having me on the show.
Lawrence School, Lovedale, from past 6 years. But I feel I've been here for eternity. And as a teacher, like I came to Lawrence School with 22 years of my experience as a teacher. And I also taught in Darjeeling residential school, but which had a different culture. And once I got into this school, it was almost like fish taking to water. And as a teacher, I feel like I am just one with the children when I teach them. I'm just one with them. As a woman, I feel that this place has made me, full. This place has completed me because, when we are midst of nature, we are not having the forethought of our grief and sorrows, because there's so much to learn from nature, how they strive for sunlight every day. And that is with human beings, when we are striving with our struggles, everyday struggles, we have to be resilient and come out of that. So it's because of the nature here that every human being feels so fresh every day, because we are one with nature. Yes, because I feel I have grown as a human being, I have grown as a woman, I have grown as a mother. And whatever I could not do in my teaching career earlier, in my last 22 years, I've been able to do that here because there's so much of freedom.
Wasn't that just the loveliest background? The backdrop was campus, folks. If you missed that, beautiful day it looked like. Thank you both so much for sending in your recordings and being a part of today's variety entertainment. Folks, next we have a song sung by two OLs, Mahesh Ramanathan from the batch of 84 and Porter's Sam Doctor from the batch of 80. Billy Joel seems to be quite the favorite in this volunteer group. We want to mix it up. Come join us. What they're going to sing is Always a Woman. And, what you've got along with it is a montage of girls in school, just a general photo essay of OL girls. Have fun.
She can kill with a smile, she can wound with her eyes, she can ruin your faith with her casual lies. And she only reveals what she wants you to see. Yes, she hides like a child, but she's always a woman to me. She can lead you to love, she can take you or leave you. She can ask you for the truth, but you never believe. She can take what you give her as long as it's free. Yeah, she steals like a thief, but she's always a woman to me. Oh, she takes care of herself. She can wait if she wants. She's ahead of her time. Oh, she never gives out, and she never gives in. She just changes her mind. She'll promise you more than the Garden of Eden. She'll carelessly cut you and laugh while you're bleeding. She brings out the best and the worst you can be. Blame it all on yourself, 'cause she's always a woman to me. Oh, she takes care of herself. She can wait if she wants. She's ahead of her time. Oh, never gives out, and she never gives in. She just changes her mind. She's frequently kind, and she's suddenly cruel. But she can do as she pleases, she's nobody's fool. she can be convicted. She's earned her degree.
And of course she will always throw shadows at you, but she's always a woman to me.
Thank you, Mahesh, and thank you, Boris, for that. Guys, we've come to the end of the show. So here we are, all three of us once again. Just a little bit of news that we, wanted to call out, that we didn't at the beginning, is that our school, Lawrence School Lovedale, won a couple of awards recently. If you missed that on social media, here's what it was. The Education World Grand Jury India School Rankings 2020 to 2021. And Mr. Our headmaster, Mr. K. Prabhakaran, of course, received it for the school. And what was the award? Well, it was a school with social impact. We were #1 in Tamil Nadu and #2 all India. Congratulations to the school. We're so proud of you. And onward and upwards there. So guys, yes, we're here at the end of our this show. Thanks for sticking around. To anyone, if you missed it, you've got the recordings. So let's ask, Elizabeth, how her experience was. What was it like, Elizabeth, to be on this time?
So, Karishma, I loved it. And I think, obviously, the initial nerves are there to do something, but what a blast it was. And I interacted with a lot of people and I had a great time. And I want to shout out to more people to kind of, encourage you all to volunteer if you all would like. Try guest hosting. It's an amazing experience. It's once in a lifetime. Do it. So you know what? If you all are interested and if you all want to participate, please drop a mail to olalovedale@gmail.com and let them know that you're excited to carry this on. Okay, so I had a great time. Thank you to Karishma and Vinod being such amazing co-hosts and getting me on this.
We loved having you.
We loved having you here as well, Eliza. So, for those watching live, if any of your friends tell you that, oh, we missed the OL assembly, what do you tell them? You tell them, go to YouTube and search OL Laurentian Association page, and there you have it. Not just this edition, all the previous editions are there. So please go watch it, comment on it. Looking forward to having more of you on the OL Assembly show, right? What's going to happen? What's coming up? What's coming up is OL Nation, 2 weeks from now, 26th of March. And of course, the next edition of the OL Assembly, can you imagine we've completed 12 months of OL Assembly. So the next 2 episodes of the OL Assembly are going to be celebration episodes. So please do join in live. The next one is going to happen on 9th of April. So please do tune in. Before I hand it back to Karishma, on behalf of the OL Assembly Volunteer Group, I want to thank all the women of the OL Assembly Volunteer Group, Karishma, Kavita, Sujata, Sarita, Eliza, and of course Beena Auntie, for being such lovely members of the group and making it lively, and hence enabling all of us to bring this program together. So thank you all so much. Back to you, Karishma.
Well, we're just a classic Mutual Appreciation Society. Thank you, Vinod. And so that's a really great segue for us. As we sign off this evening, thank you once again for joining us. Like Vinod said, please join us next month. And also in 2 weeks, do join us again. As we sign off, here are the credits so that you can see the faces and the fun humans who are behind this event. So cheers. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everybody around the world. Bye-bye.
Bye.